Constituency?
I'm called Agaba Aisa, aka Black, from Bugangais East, Kakume District, and I love my people in Bugangais East. May God bless you, and may the Lord, may the good Lord give Right Honorable Jacob Bulanya his soul eternal peace.
Thank you so much, Honorable. We are at Parliament coming to you live, and we are giving you a picture of what the vigil is like here at Parliament. And we now have former Youth Council chairperson and also now Member of Parliament. Which district is that this time around?
Kitgum District.
Kitgum District.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, at least you're my own and I will ask whatever I want.
Absolutely. It's okay.
With the excitement of the budget, only to see clips that came to our newsroom, it was the face of my own. You people give us the money, we want to feed our people in the villages. What was it like and how far have you handled this? Did you receive the money?
Yeah, the first issue that was there was the delay on the release of funds. Of course, you know the issues of the bureaucracies on the delays of funds, but also when we were having our interventions with the technical people, the words which are uttered out were a bit having some sense of arrogance and disrespectful, so it wasn't good because our point was, if the budget was cut, that's okay. Let's work within the budget which is there. We do understand that it might be difficult to raise the money to the expectation, but let's now see how to limit the appropriation of the budget in the areas which are very key. And I did note that for any barrier to take place, number one is we need the GREF to be there. We need to facilitate the religious leaders to be there. We need to have food for the mourners. We need to have shelter for people to sit. And we also need to think about the after burial. This is a family that will be receiving guests. The African tradition, you know it. People will keep on coming. So we need some facilitation for the family to continue taking care of the mourners who will be coming after, and also ensure that we have a decent send-off. But all these issues have been resolved. Money was released today. Some of the issues are already moving on, so we are now good to go, and we don't have any issues.
That is very, very good news, and we wish that everything goes on the way it was planned. My very good question to you. You belong to a group which is almost 80% of the 11th Parliament. You're all young people, I would say.
Absolutely.
Have you guys taken an opportunity to learn from the seniors, who many are retiring, others we are losing them due to God's plan? Have you guys taken an opportunity to learn from them, and what is that you're learning? Well, if we are to hear you appointed anything, should we have the confidence that you will drive it? It may not be you yourself, but the group that you belong to. How much have you people taken the chance to learn?
Well, learning is a personal initiative. It's about someone to take the trouble to interest themselves in building their career. So you learn through guidance, you learn through seeing, you learn through admirations, and that is why I feel so disheartened when we lose people of the likes of the late Jacob Bulanya Lukori, very knowledgeable, the epitome of knowledge. This is someone whom I looked up to for public speeches, for being an orator, for having an incubation of knowledge, and someone who was not selfish. I did consult Jacob on very many things. When I was running for guild presidents in Makerere, yes, I did. Even the youth council. When I came to contest for Yala, I really tried to consult him, and the issues he gave me, the points he would tell me, it really shaped me up. I am who I am today. I can speak in the house. I can present myself partly because of him, having chats with him, but also trying to understand, watch his videos and his presentations, and this is keeping us, making us better, I believe.
Here we are without him. How do you move on?
You talk about whether we have a position we can take on. Very many young people can take on any responsibility. I can tell you that. You just have to trust them with it. And anyway, that those who would learn on job, that those who may think
That was our colleague Michael Jordan Lukoma, who is at Parliament, and he was talking to some members of Parliament there as the vigil for the late Speaker of the 11th Parliament, Jacob Bulanya, takes place. And of course, his body is lying in state at parliamentary buildings. Now let's move on. And President Yoweri Museveni received a special gift from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, presented by the Ambassador, His Excellency Jamal Al-Madani, who led a delegation to State House Entebbe. The gift is in recognition of the President's efforts in strengthening bilateral relations between the two countries. His Excellency Museveni and the delegation held bilateral discussions on various issues. During their discussions, President Museveni narrated to the group facts on Uganda's journey to success. His Excellency President Museveni said that in 1989, when General Omar al-Bashir, the former president of Sudan, came into government, he warned him not to accept sectarianism and advised him to focus on the interests of all people of Sudan. The president said that sectarianism is a political problem which can be handled. He promised to invite the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia to discuss important issues on development, and asked the ambassador to inform the prince about his invitation. His Excellency Al-Madani thanked the president for hosting his delegation and presented a letter from the government of Saudi Arabia to Uganda, indicating that they officially submitted their candidacy to host Expo 2030 in the city of Riyadh under the theme, "The Era of Change, Leading the Planet Towards a Foresighted Tomorrow." He requested for Uganda's support, and the president promised to study the request and see how to handle it. The Saudi ambassador revealed to the president a planned visit of a special envoy from the King of Saudi Arabia, Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, on May the 23rd, 2022. The president approved it. The ambassador revealed that there are 150,000 Ugandan workers in Saudi Arabia that resulted to transferring $1 billion to Uganda last year. In conclusion, he reported to President Museveni the 7 pending agreements with Uganda due to bureaucracy. In response, President Yoweri Museveni instructed Uganda's ambassador to Saudi Arabia, His Excellency Beatrice Pacunega, to resolve the issue in 2 weeks' time. The delegation also expressed deepest condolences to the government and people of Uganda for the demise of the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Jacob Bulanya, and wished the soul of the departed eternal rest. Now, the body of the late Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Bulanya, today left his home in Muyenga for Parliament, where a special sitting in his honor was convened. Samuel Senono with a report.
For the last 2 days, former Speaker Jacob Olanya's body has been at his Muyenga residence, where friends, relatives and well-wishers have been converging to mourn him. At about 8:30 a.m., the burial party, composed of officers from the Uganda Police Force, carried the former speaker's body into a waiting funeral van to embark on a journey which is 9.9 kilometers up to Parliament on a normal day, but not today. The late speaker's neighbors in the Muyenga community and well-wishers lined up along the way as the convoy snaked past, heading into the busy city center. As the convoy approached spitting distance with the August House, members of Parliament joined in together with the Bwala dance group to perform the royal dance, which was Speaker Jacob Olanya's favorite. The journey from Muyenga to the parliamentary building is one that the late speaker has been making for the last 5 years. The only difference this time around, he wasn't entering Parliament to chair a session, but instead to lie in state. Lydia Chomkama, UBC News.
Now, the late Bulanya's body was wheeled into the parliamentary buildings at exactly 9:30 a.m. Tuesday. Members of parliament mounted a guard of honor carrying national colors, balloons and others donning bow ties of a signature fashion style. The body was escorted to parliament by Acholi Bola dancers and received by the Speaker Anita Among, her deputy Thomas Tayebwa, Vice President Jessica Alupo and Prime Minister Robina Nabanja. We have this report.
It was a somber-mooded Parliament buildings as the body of former Speaker Jacob Bulanya arrived at Parliament for legislators to pay last respects. Members of the public lined outside the Parliamentary Avenue and Kimathi Avenue to take a glimpse at the casket containing the body of late Speaker Jacob Bulanya. Acholi Bora traditional dancers, pallbearers from the Uganda police as the body was wheeled into Parliament amidst a guard of honor from legislators who were putting on bow ties, a signature fashion style of the late Bulanya.
It's outside.
The body was received by the Speaker Anita Among, Deputy Thomas Tayebwa, Vice President Jessica Alupo and Prime Minister Robina Nabanja. MPs also carried balloons that were made of the Uganda flag colors to signify hope. Amid songs of hope, hymns of eternal freedom, and tunes of heavenly glory, the body was wheeled to the parliamentary foyer. Here, confetti were thrown from the elevated ceiling at Parliament onto the casket containing the body of Bulanya, and grief engulfed the House as members embraced each other for strength. Shamim Naiga, Gloria Gutabinji, UBC News.
Now, pomp, colour and scent at the Ugandan Parliament have acted as a uniting factor for members of Parliament as Jacob Bulanya's body lies in state. Most members of Parliament were dressed in bow ties as a sign of honouring the signature attire of the fallen Speaker of the 11th Parliament. A State Minister for Housing, Persis Namuganza, and her Fisheries counterpart, Helen Adoa, explained why they joined their male counterparts to put on bow ties. Henry Okrut gives us more.
There was no paint at Parliament, but the place was well coloured as the body of deceased Speaker Jacob Bulanya was ushered into parliamentary premises. Black was the main dress code colour, as red, yellow and white, among others, filled the compound. All this was done in honour of Jacob Lokori Bulanya, whose tenure as Speaker of the 11th Parliament was cut short by the cruel hands of death.
Therefore, the legacy that Bulanya has left in this country should unite us, because he was a friend of everybody.
Staring at his mourners in silence of a smile was his portrait at the parliamentary foyer. Next to it was an impression of a bow tie, which was a signature attire of the fallen Speaker. Apparently, this turned out to be a uniting factor among its members of Parliament as they opted to adopt it.
I had never seen him put on the long necktie, but he always put on a bow tie. And as parliamentarians, we agreed that in honor of Jacob Bulanya, that we put on bow ties.
Henry Okello Oriem, the State Minister for Foreign Affairs, surrendered his normal and usual tie for this new arrangement. He explained why.
This is the first time, though, I'm putting on a bow tie, in almost 15 or 20 years. But however, I have the pleasure and the honor of putting it on, and I'm happy that I'm putting it on today for my good friend and brother Bulanya.
This signature attire although perceived to be a preserve of men, saw some women legislators adopt the new dress code. Princess Persis Namuganza and Helen Adoa were some of them.
Right Honorable Jacob Bulanya loved bow ties, ever in his life. And that's why members of parliament today, we are dressed like this. And not only for today, even members of public, we want to appreciate them that they are really emulating his example as a way of remembering him.
All of us as MPs feel a bow tie should be somewhere, whether you are a male or a female, just to show that he loved it.
All this was done in honor of the fallen speaker, whom most, if not all members of parliament, agreed was down to earth.
For every group he did, for everything he did it in depth. I have known him as a friend, as a workmate, and as a fellow lawyer. So it's a loss to the family, to his region, and to the country as a whole.
It is the last time Jacob Olanya is appearing at Parliament in the capacity of former Speaker and Member of Parliament. His portrait will soon join this display as a former Speaker of the Ugandan Parliament. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Now, the late Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Bulanya, is said to have died of multi-organ failure and total bone marrow suppression. In a post-mortem report read to Parliament by Health Minister, Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng presented a death summary, genesis of the late Bulanya's illness, which she said dates way back to 2019. Minister Acheng made the revelation at a special sitting of Parliament to pay tribute to late Jacob Bulanya.
Minister for Health, Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng, presented a summary death report of the late Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Bulanya, before the House, stating multi-organ failure as the main cause of death.
The immediate cause of death was multi-organ failure. The heart failed, the lungs failed, the liver failed, and the kidney failed. The liver started failing while he was still here in Uganda, as well as the lungs that had started collecting fluid. The heart started failing while in Seattle, as well as the kidneys. He had multiple infections, bacterial infections, which were discovered here, and viral infections that were discovered in Seattle.
Acheng also stated that due to the treatment of multiviral infections, the Speaker's bone marrow was suppressed.
This was a consequence of total bone marrow suppression, which we call pancytopenia. In other words, his bone marrow could no longer produce red blood cells, white blood cells, or platelets, and he lived on blood and platelets every day. All this resulted from progressive, recurrent, diffuse, large B-cell, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. That is the cancer.
The minister also informed the House that there were also contributory conditions that led to the death of the Speaker.
He had a lymphatic system depletion. The Right Honourable Speaker lost his spleen while he was in Makerere. And I'm sure many of you are aware about this. It is the spleen. And my brother, Right Honourable Kotogong, allow me to correct you. It is not the pancreas. You cannot live without a pancreas. It was the spleen. He had a splenectomy following that riot. So he didn't have a spleen, which is also an organ that manufactures blood cells, white, red, and so on. He also had challenges with stem cell, which had a poor immune response because of chemotherapy. He started having gastrointestinal bleeding or bleeding into the abdomen because of lack of platelets. He could not stop the bleeding. He had multi-drug resistant bacteria and this was Klebsiella pneumoniae, which is usually hospital-acquired when you stay in a hospital for too long. And the virus was cytomegalovirus, which affected him.
She also unveiled a brief genesis on how the late Jacob Olanya's illness started.
In 2019, he discovered a swelling in the neck. It was a relatively big swelling. And he took it upon himself to seek medical attention in Germany. The swelling was removed and analyzed, and he was told it was a cancer. And later on, I will summarize what the cancer was. He was started on treatment, which he finished in Uganda Cancer Institute. He subsequently visited several other hospitals because of the same, but we also had challenges during the lockdown and during the elections when he was not able to be in hospital.
Zahara Abigaba, UBC News.
And that was the cause of the late Speaker Jacob Olanya's death. Now, the football community is joining the country in paying tribute to the fallen Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Bulanya. Now, through its competitions, FUFA Big League, Star Times, Uganda Premier League, FUFA Women Elite League and FUFA Women Super League to be held between the 5th to the 8th of April this year, all players are required to put on black armbands during league games, and a moment of silence will be observed before kickoff. The gesture will be in respect of the love the late Speaker, Right Honourable Jacob Bulanya, had for football and always legislated in favour of the game in Uganda.
As the federation governing football in the country, FUFA, we join the rest of the country in the grief to mourn the late Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Jacob Bulanya. And at their EXCOM meeting as the federation, it was resolved that matches, the fixtures will go on and games will be played between 5th to 8th, but all players are required to put on black armbands as a sign of grief, and at the beginning of each game it has been declared by FUFA that there will be observance of a moment of silence in honor of our legend, who was one of the lovers of the football as a game and who regulated on several occasions in favor of the game in Uganda. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
One, because Jacob was dear to me. Jacob was our rider, he was our member, and we loved him. We liked him. He was our mentor. He was a big man from Acholi who loved to ride. He also loved his bike. We feel that this is good enough for us to ride in honor of him. When all is said and done, when the dust has settled, we are going to make another memorial run, but this time it will go to Omoro County, in Jacob's home. We plan on having a ride there, have a service there in honor of Jacob. But we also want to condole with the family. We want to pray, and we want to sit with the family and share our experiences.
Brought to you by.
We're here to build because at the end of the day, we're truly Ugandan.
Today in history.
On this day in history, President Nelson Mandela earned worldwide praise for his role in persuading Libya to hand over 2 suspects accused of placing a bomb on Pan Am Flight 103. This exploded over Lockerbie in Scotland in 1988, killing altogether 270 people. Crew, passengers and residents of the town. Colonel Muammar Gaddafi agreed to hand over the suspects to be tried in a Scottish court of law in the Netherlands.
Pay for your dream phone, Mpola. Get your dream phone today for as low as 1,400 Uganda shillings with free data for a year and pay slowly. All phones come with daily 50 MBs for 12 months. Repayment period is 1 year. Available at MTN service centers and M-Kopa shops.
This is how we play. Play with power.
This is how we do it.
How we put a team together. This is how we pass on greatness. Because with this team to inspire us, there's nothing we can't do.
Go for goals and win. Buy a Pepsi glass bottle or Pepsi Max 330 ml. Check another crown and win soda, TVs, caps, t-shirts and cash. Redeem prizes at any Pepsi depot or truck countrywide. Terms and conditions apply. Pepsi, for the love of it.
When COVID came, it felt like it destroyed everything my mom had built. She was ready to let go of her dreams. But when one door shuts, a window opens. She grabbed her last money and took a leap of faith. She refused to give up. So with a bit of daring and Grandma's secret recipe, her business was back. And not just bigger, beyond her wildest imagination.
This is a story of a regular Ugandan just like you, who harnessed the power of technology to provide a solution for us. How about you tell us your story? UG needs more of you. To share your story, visit airtel.co.ug/UG needs more of you or call or SMS 162. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back from that break, and this is News Tonight here on UBC TV. Let's move on now and we go to Omoro District, where over 30,000 people are expected to attend the burial of the fallen Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Bulanya, in Omoro District. However, according to the local organizing committee, the available tents and facilities provided by Parliament will not accommodate that big number. Parliament only provided a 10,000-seater tent as the preparations kicked off in high gear in Omoro. Our reporter Philip Aguta is currently based in the district and filed us this report.
It was a busy Tuesday in Omoro District for the service providers and the local organizing committee members for the burial of the late former Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Bulanya. As the burial draws closer, preparations are in advanced stages to receive the body of the son of the soil. At his home in Lalogi, bushes have been cleared to expand the space. Houses and the entire homestead are being facelifted.
Religious leaders, cultural leaders, political leaders, and the people of Omoro District, actually sub-region and northern Uganda, are all set to receive the body of the Right Honorable Speaker, Jacob Bulanya, here tomorrow. So in terms of preparation, I want to really say the local organizing committee, together with the national organizing committee and Parliament of Uganda, there is some progress.
Few meters from Olanya's home is Ajuri Primary School, where the main service will be held on Friday and tents are being mounted.
This is the main venue
where the main function for send-off of our brother Jacob Bulanya will take place. This is a Jury Primary School, and when you look behind there, that is the village, that is his home area where the body will be laid to rest. And this is a team from Kampala Photogenics. They have arrived today. I think this is a team from Parliament. They came with the tent. They are beginning to construct the tent. And
according to the local organizing committee for the burial of Bulanya, Parliament only provided a 10,000 seater, yet they expect over 30,000 people to attend the burial of the deceased speaker.
We must say that there's a deficit in our view as local organizing committee. We expect about 30,000 mourners in this venue. The 10,000 is actually almost people coming from outside our place. So definitely the seating capacity of 10,000 will not be enough. Although they told us that they are going to send one tent at home, that is the place where my brother Jacob will be laid to rest. They are going to have a tent there. But the 10,000 seating capacity definitely is not enough.
About 10 kilometers away from Bulanya's home at Lalogi Primary School is a team of big boys attached to security inspecting the site where the chopper will land with the body of the fallen speaker. Philip Aguta, UBC News in Omoro.
Leaders of National Unity Platform Party, NUP, are not satisfied with the way government is handling Karamoja killings, where a number of lives have been lost. Addressing the media in Karamoja, NUP spokesperson Joel Senyonyi challenged government to take serious action.
To reports on Karamoja, insecurity resulting from cattle rustling started in 2017. Police and the army are in charge of the situation, although a section of the public is not satisfied. National Unity Platform Party spokesperson Joel Senyonyi says government has failed to end insecurity in Karamoja.
We need to make sure we do this as a country. Otherwise, we shall live to regret at some point when many have been wiped out, and then we say, maybe we should have done something earlier. So as NUP, we stand with the people of Karamoja, and we are saying action must be taken.
The sub-region coordinator for NUP in Karamoja, Ernest Ayen, calls on the public to stand with them under this situation.
It is with sadness that I speak about the issues that are happening in Karamoja. Stand with us during this time that our girls are being raped. Stand with us. Stand with us when this region of Karamoja is bleeding. Stand with us, ladies and gentlemen.
But Minister for Karamoja Affairs, Dr. Goreti Chitutu, has been traversing Karamoja on peace and conflict resolution, although police cautions the public against mixing security issues with politics.
These accusations that keep coming from the honorable MPs from Karamoja is not done in good faith. They have been working with us, and we've been very transparent in our operations. Where they feel that probably there is abuse and so on, we've been working together with them. None of our officers in the field operations is above the law. So these accusations won't help. We simply need to work together and make sure that we restore peace, safety, and security in the Karamoja region.
Jane Yoramchia, reporting for UBC.
The three prosecution witnesses who testified in the case where 15 suspects are allegedly accused of killing and robbing police officers in different parts of the country pinned the accused Kizito Issa, alias Commander Muto, to be the master planner in the killings. The witnesses include Detective Brian Ocheng, Edward Chironde, a border rider, and Sergeant Fabian Charituha, attached to Busunju Police Station in Mitiana.
The 19 suspects alleged in the killing and robbing of police officers have once again appeared at the General Court Martial in Machinde to proceed with the hearing of the case. The case is before the Chairman General Court Martial, Lieutenant General Andrew Guti. Prosecution witness number 4 is Brian Ochen, a detective constable attached to Busunju Police Station, who was approached by Awan Kanakulia Sulaiman, asking him for help following an incident of robbery of 500,000 shillings near an abandoned school in Chibobo village.
That his mode of operation is that he goes to villages in areas of Sekanyonyi, Busunju, Bukomero, and the surrounding districts and villages to meet the producers of the tomatoes.
Ochen says he recorded a police statement from Kanakulia and thereafter proceeded to Chitara government prison for other assignments, leaving him with 2 police officers, Okech Alfred and Chigongo Moses.
There was no robbery at all. The robbery I received was simple robbery. It was not existing anywhere. I received a phone call, Detective ASP Ruganju Cosmas. That call was informing me that my colleagues, whom I left at Busunyu police station and who attended to our client after my departure to Kitalia, have been murdered and their guns robbed at Sebobo in an abandoned primary school.
Ochen was able to identify the accused Chitorisa, whom he paid to come at police, claiming to be robbed.
Was a short guy, big lips, eyes are somehow big, the chest somehow once like somebody who has been doing exercise, massaging. Blue t-shirt, label, is it Real Madrid?
Prosecution witness number 5, Moses Chironde, also identified the accused Chitorisa as the person who grabbed a gun from Okech at the scene of crime where he alleged to have been robbed. According to Chironde, the scuffle between the accused Issa Chisto and the police officers Okech Alfred and Chigongo Moses happened at Sebobo village, and their 2 guns were taken from them.
Benayimirira ngambalengera wenti nasanga afande Okech nga bamutadde wansi ng'omusajja amukutte bwati amukunukiriza bwa ngamwe basiza bati wansi ngagezako okwerwanako benalaba ekyo enda okulaba omuntu gwe tujje ku poliisi omulenzi asikako afande Okech emundu nemanti ebiddirira fena bagenda kutusaanyaawo.
Sergeant Fabian Charituha was witness number 6, who assigned Okech Alfred and Chigongo Moses for the operation. Sergeant Fabian Charituha told court that on the 7th of December 2021, he received a phone call informing him of the death of his police officers, Okech Alfred and Chigongo Moses, at Sebobo village while on duty.
After around 30 minutes, we got information that the officers had been murdered and their 2 guns with 60 rounds robbed from them, my lord.
Upon reaching the scene of crime, he found Okech Alfred and Chigongo Moses murdered in cold blood. However, their guns were nowhere to be seen, and the said victims lie in Kanakulia. Court will resume on the 19th of April 2022 for further hearing of the case. Natong Rebecca, Namamonde Deborah, UBC News.
Now, the Ministry of Education and Sports will roll out a new education information system starting July this year to track learners through issuing them unique learner identification numbers. The spokesperson, Ministry of Education and Sports, Dr. Dennis Mugemba, says they are revamping the EMIS system to integrate other systems of government like NIRA.
The current system of registering learners does not give right data for the population of learners and school dropouts. The Education Management Information System may not integrate other government systems, thereby limiting operations of the Ministry of Education and Sports. Ministry of Education and Sports is piloting a new Education Management Information System, EMIS, to extract information of learners from other systems of government.
You as a parent, you'll provide your identity card or national identity number or passport number or refugee card number or work permit for those who are foreign workers. Then this system that we are rolling out is integrated with other government systems. It will be able to extract the information of the parent from NIRA to confirm that Dr. Mujimba is actually registered with this national identification card.
Ministry of Education and Sports will use the new system to track and appreciate the profiles of all learners in schools across the country.
As long as you are a learner in our education system, it is our responsibility as government to know who you are, because it will help us know how many learners we have in our system. When we say 10.5 million learners, then we should be able to put a name and identity to that learner. We should be able to track you throughout the system from the time you entered up to the time you exited.
The ministry will roll out the system to see how the registration of learners will start.
We are not, as a ministry, currently attaching the requirement for a learner identification number to registration for UNEB exams. And the reason we are not doing that yet as a ministry is that, one, we are still in the piloting phase of the EMIS I talked about. That are current in P7, Senior 4, Senior 6. Those that have already registered, they've already registered. And then no one is going to ask them to produce a lien before they sit their UNEB exams. So there should not be any confusion about that.
The learners will retain their NIN they received at registration with NIRA in 2017, 18 and 19 and will have to use the learner's identification throughout their education cycle. Meanwhile, Uganda National Examinations Board has clarified that the requirement of a parent's national identification card to register a candidate does not apply to the candidates of 2022. I'm Nafka Farida and Ivan Juko in Kampala.
The Permanent Secretary Minister of Health, Dr. Diana Atwine, has cautioned the public to comply with the standard operating procedures to prevent the spread of COVID-19. She was receiving masks donated by the Embassy of Italy to Uganda.
The COVID-19 pandemic infected rate in the country has reduced by 0.1%, although the public needs not to relax observing SOPs. The Permanent Secretary Minister of Health, Diana Atwine, says although the economy has been reopened, everybody must be vaccinated, wash hands, wear masks and observe social distance.
Right now, the infection rate is less than 1%, much less than 1%. But we cannot just relax. And we continue to sound the message of protection, because prevention is better than cure. And we do believe that if what we are seeing now in other countries, I was watching what is happening in Hong Kong and some other countries, the virus keeps on changing for survival. So we cannot let down the guards because we don't know what bug we shall pick up along the way. We are global.
She was receiving face masks donated by the Italian Embassy to Uganda to health workers in 14 hospitals. They were handed over by the Ambassador, His Excellency Massimiliano Mazzanti at Kololo. Italian Ambassador to Uganda, His Excellency Massimiliano Mazzanti, promised to support Uganda in the health sector.
In terms of commitment towards health and support, of course, in Africa in particular, of course, with this pandemic, they're playing a major role. Even in the Ukraine crisis now, trying to support as much as they can with the full donations, like these 10,000 masks. They identified in Eastern Africa only Uganda.
Abdul Nasser Lubwama and Fred Kasibanti for UBC News.
Now, the Minister for Kampala and Metropolitan Affairs, Hajat Misa Kabanda, has urged the Muslim community to use the holy month of Ramadan to preach peace in line of the teachings of Prophet Muhammad. She was officiating at the iftar dinner organized by MTN Uganda. Take a watch.
In this holy month of Ramadan, Muslims are expected to preach harmony and good morals.
Of peace, mediation, reconciliation, and reaching out to the vulnerable, and we also seek Allah's grace for forgiveness. It's a month of peace.
As a sign of togetherness, MTN Uganda, a telecommunication company, has organized a special iftar dinner to bring together Muslim community,
targeting the less privileged and the refugee communities across the entire country. The countrywide delivery of alms will be crowned with iftar dinners in the various regions of Uganda, in the towns of Mbale, Mbarara, and Gulu, as we further cement our cordial relationship with the Muslim communities across the entire country.
The Permanent Secretary, Minister of ICT and National Guidance, Dr. Amina Zawedi, commended MTN Uganda for the organization.
Supported the government of Uganda, but you have supported the Ministry of ICT as well. It is through these initiatives that government, the private sector, and all citizens come together to show cause of what we should do to improve our country as a unit.
Abdul Nasser Luwama, UBC News.
Local authorities and the UN Refugee Agency have relocated thousands of Congolese refugees seeking asylum in Uganda to Nyakabande Transit Camp in Nyakabande Sub-County, Kisoro District. The refugees are fleeing their homes following the ongoing conventional fighting between the Congolese National Army, FARDC, and the M23 rebels in eastern DRC.
The Nyakabande Transit Camp Commandant Kisamo Daniel said the number of refugees entering Uganda can no longer be accommodated in schools and health centers where they had forcefully pitch camped on the very first days of the insurgents. The commandant said humanitarian agencies have come in handy to provide emergency relief aid. Despite of the relief aid, Kisamo noted that the numbers of refugees are surging every minute, with UNHCR buses ferrying new arrivals to the camp. Information obtained from refugees indicates that fighting inside Congo is ongoing between the M23 rebels and the government forces.
Registration is ongoing because we are still registering even now here. You're seeing they are registering people, so I can't have the exact figures. But what I know so far, we have been able to register more than 5,000 people.
The Captain Peter Mugisha is the outgoing resident district commissioner of Kisoro District, said the situation in DRC is still bad and Uganda has opened its door wide to accommodate the influx. He attributed the gesture to Uganda's open door policy.
Our forces were on the borderline and we were keeping our border, maybe if you called it Congo, but we were keeping our border so that we may not get any problem as a country.
Mugisha cautioned the refugees who had declined to leave schools and health facilities for Ugandan pupils to resume learning to abide by the laws governing Uganda. Otherwise, some of the refugees had vandalized some of the facilities. However, at Bunagana-Uganda DRC border, more refugees were still crossing to the Ugandan side, claiming that the M23 rebels had warned them to vacate as they dug tunnels in anticipation of reprisal attacks from government troops.
We'll now take yet another short break and return with business.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone and enjoy free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 Uganda shillings. That's free 2 GB for the first month and free 1 GB for the next 11 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings with free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 shillings only. Airtel, the smartphone network.
In all its operations worldwide, Total Energies considers national content a key component for the success of its operations.
Over 94% of the overall workforce are Ugandans, and we continue to recruit and mobilize more and more. Around 8,000 Ugandan nationals will directly contribute to Tilanga project only. More than $700 million is expected to be really spent in Uganda for these local goods and services. Already more than 160 Ugandan companies directly involved in our project.
This strategy was developed in line with the national content regulations of Uganda.
As PAU, we would like to recognize Total Energies, E&P, for their efforts in employing, training and skilling Ugandans.
Total Energies EP Uganda is committed to the empowerment of Ugandans to take an active part in the overall development of the oil project in Uganda.
Need to send money to a loved one but you don't have enough on your phone? Have you run out of fuel but you don't have enough money? Do you want to pay for yaka or water but have insufficient funds? Or do you want to shop but you don't have enough money? Don't worry, get away with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial *165*5*3# to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
Welcome back, and let's have a look now at what's happening in the world of business. Cyber security courses should be included in the national curriculum in the education sector if the country is to minimize cyber attacks in telecommunications. The Executive Director, Uganda Communications Commission, Irene Sewankambo, advises different CEOs in telecommunications to look more at cyber security as an investment.
Cybersecurity crimes are on the rise, and different people's information has been hacked, while other Ugandans have lost money to fraudsters. Such crimes are not reported, yet different companies recruit manpower to instead lose people's money in the course of making transactions.
Actual persons that are now recruited, the front-end people are one set of persons, they have actual experts behind, and as the operators keep trying to update their systems, these people are continuously looking for vulnerabilities. The CEOs start to appreciate that they shouldn't look at it as an expense, but as an investment. You're investing in security the same way you will invest in a boundary wall or burglar proofing for your house. Globally, there's been a scarcity of cybersecurity experts. So where are we going to get the people who we employ? It's not just about getting an IT person. You need a cybersecurity expert.
At a breakfast meeting at UCC headquarters in Bugolobi, CEOs from Airtel, MTN Uganda, Bank of Uganda, FinTech and Uganda Bankers Executive Association proposed customer education and creating awareness from customer perspectives.
We are going to embark on a very aggressive campaign of education of the customer. Don't share your PIN.
Awareness, is not enough at all, and the more the better, and we will do that.
For whatever reason, the fraudsters are smart and they are persistent. It's definitely gone down in terms of the issue, but they are persistent, and when they're able to gain your personal details.
People behind them, staff, sometimes there's some insider job, and so on and so forth. So working together in sharing information is critical.
Is have a crisis simulation exercise. That if we were to have an event, a significant adverse event, first to the insurance sector, how do all the regulators operate?
Fraudsters are capable of turning everything upside down since they use so many forms, including social engineering, among others. Shaidat Nasaku, UBC News.
Sports news now, and we begin with motocross, where Uganda will, during the Easter weekend, host the East Africa Motocross Championship at the revamped Victoria Race Park in Garuga. Uganda will field a 65-strong squad, including Jonathan and Miguel Katende, Maxime Van P. and Arthur Blake Jr. The championship will be graced by participants from Kenya, Tanzania and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and prepares Uganda for the bigger motocross of African nations due later this year. John Van Sentamo has more on this.
Preparations for the first round of the East African Motocross Championship and the third round of the National Motocross Championship are actually in full gear. As we speak, the track is already prepared, it's 100% ready. We took off about 10 days to get the track in in perfect condition, and we followed the guidelines of FIM Africa, of the inspector that came down from FIM Africa, Tony Rowley, who came down last year. He gave us a couple of recommendations to do to the track, which we've actually done, and I must say that the track is now ready to compete for the Central African Motocross Championship and even for the Motocross of African nations.
And how ready are the riders in each class category?
Oh yeah, we've had a lot of training. We've had new recruits. Within the last 2 years, these COVID years, we've had almost over 30 new riders. I must say that the team, we have a full team ready to compete in this East African Championship. We've registered almost about 60 riders and they're still registering for Team Uganda. But on top of that, we also have a number of riders, Kenyan riders that have confirmed participation. And we also have a team that has confirmed participation from Tanzania. And another 2 riders have confirmed participation from the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. So it's good to be a full house down at Victoria Raceway Park, Garuga.
Arthur Blake Jr. ending that report. Primary and post-primary learners in Uganda are preparing for holiday after a strenuous school schedule that witnessed the abridged curriculum. It's been evident that learners have hardly had time to play, and is the reason educationists are advising parents on do's and don'ts during the holiday.
After about 13 weeks at school, many primary and post-primary learners are bracing for holiday. A visit to Erisa Day and Boarding Nursery and Primary School in Mbale City proved that the mood of most learners is now primed for home. The school hierarchy has advised parents on how best to treat the learners that have gone through a marathon schedule.
Involve them in homework, involve them in domestic work, and even play. Have time with them, chat with them, the experiences they got from school, and so on. It also helps them to know that they are together with you as a parent.
The good news to teachers, parents and learners is that Pay TV Star Times has launched a campaign that will keep children entertained minus losing touch of education.
As Star Times, we are so excited to have launched a new campaign today. It's purely targeting kids. It's dubbed the Star Times Children's Holiday Package. This is not a usual school holiday package that involves books and homework. We are talking about television package that is designed to entertain and educate our kids during the holiday season. What's the package? The package is simple. 10 educative and entertaining channels. We're talking about Nickelodeon, Jim Jam, CBBS, Baby TV, Nat Geo Wild, Nat Geographical channels. The 10 different channels are designed purely to cater for the different age groups at home. At the same time, they are educating and entertaining our kids.
And that story brings us to the end of this bulletin. But before we leave you, let's have a recap of our top stories.
Brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Tonight, members of Parliament pay tribute to late Speaker Jacob Bulanya. Whereabouts is in his memory? Late Jacob Bulanya's post-mortem report shows he died of multi-organ failure. Pomp and colour unite members of Parliament in mourning the late Jacob Bulanya. And in sports, football to honour late Jacob Bulanya, players to wear black armbands during games.
Was brought to you by Everywhere you go, MTN.
And that's all we had time for. Thank you so much for having kept us company. My name is Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma, wishing you a blessed evening.